want to find out more about Steve G. Jones and what hypnotherapy is all about, check out SteveGJones.com. It's always fun to have him on. Dr. Stephen G. Jones, welcome back to Money for Lunch.
Oh, thanks. Good to be here.
All righty. Well, I want to dive right into this because, the holidays are soon upon us, and people here in America, anyway, seem to be struggling with this, our different, I'll just say it, food challenges or even health challenges. I mean, right now our country is leading the way in obesity, and again, like I said, the holidays are just around the corner. We have Halloween, and then Thanksgiving, and then for a lot of people, Christmas, and these are just, time to eat even more. So let me ask you this: how are eating habits tied into our subconscious mind? Walk me through this.
Well, we are programmed, first of all, to be a certain way. We decide how heavy or how light we should be. Now, some people have what Dr. Phil would call a payoff for being overweight. For example, some people who have gotten unwanted attention in the past for their attractiveness. Perhaps they want to have excess weight to avoid that attention. So they have a subconscious payoff for being heavy. So there can be a number of different factors coming into play as to why we are, as light or as heavy as we are, and those can determine our eating habits.
It's funny you should say that because one of the programs that I remember, for lack of better terms, is, I think when I was growing up, I remember my parents constantly telling me to eat everything on your plate, right? There's
Yep.
kids
Mine
in
too.
other parts of the world who are starving. Yeah, and that's a very common thing. And the reality is, you shouldn't necessarily eat everything on your plate. I mean, if you're full, you should be just saying, "No, I'm full. Let me stop here."
Right, exactly. It's known now that we should sort of graze throughout the day rather than having 3 large meals. And yes, it is true that sometimes the portions, which are kind of arbitrarily chosen by parents, they think, well, this should be the amount of food for dinner. Sometimes those portions are larger than a child's stomach should handle in one sitting.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about this a little bit. You mentioned that, a lot of the stuff comes from our subconscious mind. So let me ask you this: is it possible to subconsciously change our eating habits?
Oh, absolutely. We got there by our thinking and by the programs that we have, which are a result of the input that we took from other people. So the good news is that since we got there by our thinking, we can get out of it by our thinking. So we can change our subconscious thoughts, which are dictating our eating habits.
All right. So then the question now is, how does that work? I mean, how does hypnosis work to change my subconscious so I can now change my eating habits?
Well, hypnosis is just a natural, relaxed state of mind, and we go into it every day when we're spaced out, when we're daydreaming, when we just get up, when we're just going to sleep, we're in a state of hypnosis. So, first of all, I want listeners to understand that it's a natural state, and the way we use it is by putting someone into that state. A hypnotherapist will cause someone to go into that natural state by using relaxing words and then putting positive suggestions in their mind while they're there. And so the way we can do it with hypnosis is just like that, just putting someone into hypnosis by using relaxing words and giving them a new association to food. For example, most people who are overweight feel that food is a comfort to them, especially foods that are really not that great for them. Cake, ice cream, cookies, and so forth. So by putting a new association in their mind that these foods actually lead to undesirable results, lead to pain, then we can cause the association to change and the eating habits to change.
Gotcha. It's funny you should mention that whole trance thing, that we do it naturally. I know a couple times in my life I've experienced going from, let's say, my office or a meeting, and all of a sudden I snap out of it, and I'm at home. And I seriously can't remember turning or driving. I just, kind of blanked out for, whatever that 5 or 10 minute drive. And I felt though I was in a trance, so that I just kind of, accidentally hypnotized myself. I was so deep in thought and something else that everything else is just taking over subconsciously.
Yes, well, your brain powers down to what's called alpha, and alpha is the state that your brain will go in when you don't really need to pay attention. When you're vacuuming, showering, driving, riding a bike, jogging, doing something that you can do out of rote memory, you can just do it automatically. It doesn't require much effort. You can block out everything else and just focus on what you're doing. We can also go into it when we are focusing on something. For a mathematician focusing on a math challenge can go into a state of alpha. A surgeon performing surgery can go into a state of alpha where he or she is just focusing on what they're doing and blocking out everything else, and time seems to move more quickly. So these are natural occurrences based on the fact that your brain doesn't have to pay attention to everything around it all the time. Sometimes it knows how to sort of put that on autopilot and just do what it's doing.
Gotcha. All right, well, let me ask you this. How can people program themselves to, let's say, lose weight or eat healthy or just in general take care of themselves?
Well, one of the best ways to do it is hypnosis, of course. And as a hypnotherapist, of course, that's going to be my standard answer for that. Not everyone knows how to hypnotize themselves. So if the person listening does not have skills in hypnotizing themselves or access to hypnotherapy, then the next best way is to use affirmations. And affirmations work a lot like hypnosis, except you don't have to be in a hypnotic state to use them. They work through repetition. So just writing something down on a piece of paper and putting it where you're going to see it a few times a day, or repeating it a few times a day. I am thin, or I am X amount of pounds. Let's say someone is 170, they want to go to 130. I am 130 pounds. So you state it in the positive, you state it in the here and now, and you state it to yourself a few times a day, and this acts as subconscious programming.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, let me ask you this, because on your website, stevegjones.com, you have, I don't know if it's a survey, I haven't clicked on it, but it says, how hypnotizable are you? So are some people more susceptible to being hypnotized than others?
Yes, that survey is actually a fairly advanced version, a sort of a simplified version of a fairly advanced test. The test or survey was developed by Harvard and Stanford a while back, and it's the scale of susceptibility, hypnotic susceptibility. I like to use the word suggestibility, but Harvard and Stanford got together and said, all right, this hypnosis concept is real, but we need to find a way to quantify how hypnotizable people are, because that was the burning question. How hypnotizable is Joe versus Sally? So they were able to give everyone a numeric value which relates to how hypnotizable they are, how suggestible they are. And so this test or this survey is fairly elaborate, has you perform a number of procedures with yourself to determine, it's a self-assessment test to determine how suggestible you are. I took that and created a quiz version of it, sort of boiled it down to its essence, created a quiz version of it, and that's what's on the website. That's what you're referring to. It's stevegjones.com. When you click on the test for how hypnotizable are you, you get to go through that, and it gives you a rating, so you can see just how hypnotizable you are.
Well, that's fascinating. And guys, let me tell you a little bit about stevengjones.com. I want you guys to go there and check this out. And we're actually gonna make a special page for our listeners that's being worked on now at moneyforlunch.com. But you can go to stevengjones.com, and there's programming there for this. I love to exercise. Stop binge eating, control alcohol, discover radiant health. It's not just your everyday stuff. I mean, you have you have thousands of titles there, Steve. Improve your memory, increase your metabolism. And all of these things can be successfully changed or improved by self-hypnosis, by listening to the stuff and having you walk me through this.
Oh, absolutely. I give the subconscious mind specific suggestions. For example, in the case of exercise, I give the subconscious mind of the listener suggestions to start with a baseline exercise, to, of course, consult their physician before moving to advanced exercises, as one always should, and then to just keep it up, to continue doing that, and to enjoy it. Most people, when they start exercising, they do it, they have a big start, and they have a goal. They want to lose weight. Maybe they have a prom coming up or something, or they got a bit of a health scare, or who knows, and they start exercising, and then they stop right after they don't feel the concern anymore. So this allows you to keep that motivation going for the rest of your life, so that you continue a healthy lifestyle involving exercise.
I love it. And guys, there's stuff there about overcoming fear of public speaking, master relaxation. One of my favorite ones is increased self-esteem. Guys, if your self-esteem is up there, then you're naturally going to take better care of yourself, and you're going to feel better. Stephen G. Jones, check it out, SteveGJones.com. I'm having a little problem with that today. SteveGJones.com is a great place for a lot of resources. Stephen, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing today.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime. Thanks for having me.